So new boot, we're doing what we call upper cuff adjust for Jamie here. Companies call it canting, call it what you want. We call it upper cuff adjust because you are adjusting the upper cuff. The upper cuff has the ability to go out if you're a little bow-legged or in if you're a little knock-kneed. And this is a little bit of performance and comfort all wrapped up into one sweet package here with this hardware, which we're gonna do right now. You can do this at home in the boots with your liners in the kitchen floor. I say kitchen, assuming you've got some sort of hard linoleum or wood floor. I tend to get about a hip's width apart, and I literally just rest into the front of the boot and feel how my leg is exiting the upper cuff. And if I feel like the boot is leaning against my inside or the outside of my leg, then I'll just reach down and adjust these at will, understanding how they work. Now, when you get boots here, we try to do an upper cuff adjust if we're provided with this hardware. So the upper cuff adjust will help make the edge engagement more equal going left to right as you lean over into the turn. Okay, so here's the way we do it at the store. We remove the stock liner or whatever liner you got. We pull the footbeds out because if you remember from another video, we talk about the importance of a footbed and how it keeps your ankle at neutral. And the whole goal with foundational support, once again, is to keep the center of your foot equal with the center of your knee and center of hip. And that all starts down here underneath the foot. So we just take the footbeds, drop them into the bare shells. We have our skier roll their pants up so we can see from knees down. And then you need a flat surface to do this. We're fortunate enough to have what we call the alignment stand over here, which is basically just a big hunkin' flat piece of steel. So Jamie, come on back. How tall are you? 5'5". 5'5" puts us at 175. So our cant stand automatically kind of ballpark targets foot stance for hip width based on skier height. This should be relatively close. You do not need to have any professional hip measurements done or anything like this. You can always tweak this down the road if you want. So what we do is we set our brackets up here for the proper hip width for Jamie. Preemptively, I'm just going to loosen up the hardware. And if we look at this hardware, if you look at this bolt, it is not centered in this piece of hardware. Once we loosen this bolt up, we're going to put our key here in this eccentric. And this eccentric, if you can watch the bottom of the cuff right here, it's actually moving, right? So as I loosen this bolt so I can turn this eccentric, right now, if you look at where this is, we'll just use that dot for reference right there. This piece, the fat part of the eccentric is up, so it's pushing the cuff up this way, which in this boot pushes it outward, so we're sort of setting up for a bow-legged skier here. Now, if I had a knock-kneed skier, we would turn this like this and watch that dot. See how that dot's gonna almost disappear as I turn the fat part of the eccentric down. And what that does is it pushes the upper cuff in. That's going to be for a knock-kneed skier. Now, you've got this adjustment on this side. You can double your pleasure with this side, being able to really maximize. So typically, the better the boot, usually, the more features you're going to get like this. If your boot only has one adjuster on there, that's fine. At least you still got that. Some boots don't have any, and you're kind of at a bad spot if that happens. You got to go to modifications with some sort of foam between the liner and the shell, which isn't near as easy. So all we do with this, again, I've loosened up these two pieces of hardware here. I tend to loosen these guys up too, just because it will let the upper cuff, it'll let this cuff move a little easier, and I'm just sure that I'm getting all that I can out of the adjusters that I'm given. So most of this stuff is pretty standard hardware, oftentimes a 4 or 5 millimeter Allen key in here. Same with these bits. Occasionally they use some sort of Torx fitting, but Fortunate enough that everything in this Technica boot is the same size, which is nice. So, what we do in this is we're gonna have Jamie stand up and I'm gonna help her put the left boot on. So, for us in here, it's easier to get everything sighted by looking at the back of the leg. I tend to hook on the second or third position on the ladder, just on the upper strap. Come on into there. And then again, I'm just matching what I'm doing with the upper buckle, okay? So then with Jamie, what I'm gonna do is ask her to just lighten up on this foot, and I'm just gonna make sure that I'm aligned in here, and then we're gonna lighten up on this foot, and again, I'm just gonna align the boot. If you're doing this in your kitchen, you got linoleum floor, you can use lines or something. So Jamie, if you could stand up for me, and we're gonna keep your hands down by your sides, and stay looking forward like you're looking down the hill, and just give me a slight dip at the knee right here. And what I'm doing is I kind of want the leg to be about in the position where it's gonna be neutral in the boot. And then I'm simply looking at the distance between the leg and the boot. So with the finger test here, I can see that I'm a little tighter over here versus here. So what I'm gonna do, my hardware is already loosened. I'm just gonna turn this eccentric up, and I'm gonna turn this eccentric down a little bit. So come upright again. We always like to test things a few times. Another little dip at the knee. Stay looking forward for me. And now I'm looking pretty good. We're gonna tweak that down, and I'm gonna check this side. And this, I'm just a hair tight over here. So I'm gonna turn this one up a little. No, that one's already down. Now, what do you do if you've turned these adjusters to their max and you can't get the spacing you're looking for? Well, that's when you need to go in with some sort of foam and maybe work on some spacing between the liner and the shell with some foam. So we're going to come upright again, and another little dip at the knees. And again, we're using the finger test here. I'm going to just double check the other side. Nothing wrong with quadruple checking if you can. So this looks really good with how our spacing is here. I'm sure that when she's about a hip's width and she's going straight down the hill, that this boot isn't getting indirectly affected by her leg pushing on the side of the boot. After that, we're just going to loosen this up. Come on out of the right. And you can put your foot back down on the plate and come on out of the left. So after that, the only thing I do, I don't like to tighten this stuff up when the people are in the boots because it's oftentimes awkward. So I'm just going to hold this piece from turning, and I'm just going to snug this bolt back up. And then we're going to do the same thing over here.
Oh, well, the angle's along there. I got it. Okay, so
and then I'm going to tighten these guys back up. Okay, so once all that stuff is tightened down, then Jamie's ready to go break the boot in on the hill. All right, guys, that's upper cuff adjustment, or as the companies call it, canting. For the record, we tend to call canting underneath the boot, which is a separate alignment deal that we'll do in another video. Stay tuned.